Right, hi everybody. Welcome to the Inclusion Accelerator webinar. My name is Sally Lisk-Lewis. I suspect some of you will know me from yonder year. I'm the Skills Partnership Manager at Media Cymru, and I've had the privilege of working with Mel and the team at Gritty Talent to help develop this programme ready to run next year. I just want to quickly audio describe myself. Obviously, my pronouns are she, her. At the moment, I'm sitting here with very scruffy red hair because I got stuck at a bus this morning and got rather wet. And I'm wearing a black dress with a little red detail on it. Yeah, only because I'm going out tonight, actually, so I don't usually dress posh, but there we go. Just to quickly say as well, we are using closed captions, and we're very fortunate to be joined also by Nikki, our BSL interpreter. Like I say, just in case anyone's just joined us, if you have got any questions or answers during this session, please use the Q&A box, not the chat room. Anyway, without further ado, the person that we're here to listen to and learn from is the wonderful Mel Rodriguez. She is the founder and CEO of Gritty Talent, who will be delivering the Inclusion Accelerator programme next year in partnership with us at Media Cymru and also supported by Channel 4. So I'm going to pass over to Mel so that she can kind of kickstart, take you through what you can expect and also answer any questions you might have about the application process. And please, do pitch in. We're here to answer your questions, so don't be shy. It'd be lovely to, hear what you've got to say. All right, Mel, I'll pass over.
Thank you, Sal. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you, Diolch, for sharing your lunchtime with us. As Sal said, I'm Mel Rodriguez, founder of Gritty Talent. I used to work in production for many years, including at BBC Cymru Wales, and I now work mostly with talent and with indies on inclusion and diversity. My pronouns are she and her. My audio description, I am a mixed heritage woman with dark brown hair and brown eyes. I'm quite short, but you probably wouldn't tell that from the screen. And today I'm wearing a blue top with some nice little festive earrings. A bit more about Gritty, first of all. So after working in TV for, yes, I'm going to say almost 2 decades, I became really interested in what was going on behind the camera, specifically how we crew up and the ways that we can really support and nurture our teams so that everyone can do their best work and everyone who wants to work in TV can. And I realised that there were lots of things that were maybe missing or needed doing differently, and I was particularly interested in who's missing in terms of production roles and in decision-making roles, the people who really shape and make decisions about what we do and why we do it. So I founded Gritty to find more effective ways and try to scale those ways to introduce fantastic talent from all groups into TV and film. And so we primarily work with indies and channels to both connect in and nurture that talent, but also really focus on creating those healthy and inclusive workspaces where everyone can come in and thrive and progress. And this is what really the nub of this training is all about. So we're super excited to be doing this. It's a first of a kind project really in Wales, and thanks to the funding from Media Cymru and Channel 4's 4 Skills team, we can really try and supersize it, which I think is important to be able to have lasting impact. So the aim is to create a cohort of indies in Wales who can work together as a collective to boost your talent and your inclusion expertise and activities, to really hone your strategy and share best practice with each other. And the hope is that you'll create a network amongst yourselves. So the longevity of the training is that it doesn't stop when we finish with our programme. It actually continues as a collective to work together to keep and retain the talent in Wales and to progress people across roles, genres, and different types of production. Today I'm just going to go through the agenda very briefly and tell you what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about what the Inclusion Accelerator actually is, who it's for, who can apply, when and where you need to be if you're on the cohorts, and what to expect during that process. I'll talk for the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll leave lots of time for questions, and then obviously a bit of time, I think, for lunch if you need to nip off before 1. So what I'd ask is if you could please put any questions that you have in the Q&A, and then in about 20 minutes time we'll come to those. We'll try and enable camera and sound so that you can ask them and we can chat, but if there are technical issues, then I will obviously just read it out and try and cover everything as well. Moving on, so I'm just talk a little bit about what the Inclusion Accelerator actually is. So I guess the title gives you a good clue, but it is a specially designed programme which combines masterclasses. We're going to do some data analysis, and we're going to provide a package of support. And that will be primarily to help you recruit and nurture inclusive and diverse teams. And ultimately, it's about creating a more sustainable business. So we've described it as a business building activity because growing and retaining a diverse and skilled pool of talent is an absolute business imperative. So as we mentioned, because it's been funded both by Media Cymru and for Skills, one of the fantastic things is that we can deliver this to you for free, but free things don't come without commitment. So if you're going to do it, we really need you to commit and go all in, because it's a really in-depth process and it requires your focus. But one of the fantastic things is because it's been funded by Media Cymru and Channel 4, it's removed a lot of that kind of barrier to sometimes doing the work, because we really understand how time intensive and how cost prohibitive talent and inclusion activities can feel, particularly if you are a small independent company sailing your boat in these quite challenging and strange times. So it's about committing to the process, and the accelerator bit means you're going to come through the process and come out the end having really achieved something. So we want to really kickstart that momentum and focus on your equality, diversity and inclusion work. I'll say EDI for short. What we want to do is help you build an environment where your company is truly accessible and attractive to fantastic people who are from all backgrounds and groups. The aim is that everyone and anyone can turn up and do their best work. That should be the aim of what we're achieving together. And what do we mean by everyone? Diversity is a word that you need to kind of use in the plural, i.e. you only get diversity when you have lots of different types of people. So that can mean people from different educational backgrounds, cultural and ethnic backgrounds, different financial backgrounds, different life stages, people who maybe have different access needs, different perspectives, and bring different skills. So when you're truly accessible, people from all those different types of groups can work together really well. Okie doke. So yeah, if you have any more questions about what we're about, then please put them in the Q&A. I'm going to talk now a bit about who it's for and who can apply. So we have a couple of quite specific criteria here. So it's designed primarily for a mixture of company owners, production heads, talent leads, senior managers. So what I'm getting at here is this programme is for people who are responsible for hiring and nurturing talent and making decisions about your teams. So it's not producer level, it's people who are leading and making hiring decisions and making strategy and policy decisions about your company. And the reason for that is that we want to invite you in so that you gain the skills and confidence to do the EDI work really well. And then as a team, you can go back into your company and continue to build on your strategy and deliver it in your everyday work. So it's really at that kind of leadership level that we're aiming. We're inviting a maximum of 3 people per company to attend. And that is, as I said, so that you can embed the learning as a team and then bring it back to your company. You must be a screen business supplying broadcasters or streamers within the TV, film and digital content space. Your company must be registered in Wales. So this is a Welsh-based programme. And as I said, the attendees that you nominate from your company should be in those leadership roles, hiring roles of responsibility and talent management, heads of department, etc. So it's up to you who you want to nominate. We just need one application per company. And then you're going through to the next round. Then we'll look at the mix of people from your company that you'd like to invite in. And as I said before, it will require the commitment for them to attend all of the sessions. So any questions about that, please do put them in the Q&A and we will come back to that. Okay, I'd like to talk now about the kind of nuts and bolts, so the when and the wheres. We realise that you're all very busy and have lots of competing things going on. So we've tried to curate it so that it's the right balance of face-to-face and online or remote, but to create enough impact so that you're getting stuff done each week. So what we've done is put together 4 face-to-face group sessions, and these are your big masterclasses, which are really designed as a cohort for you to work together, learn together, and really kind of embed certain key things. So those will be held at the Tramshed Tech space in Cardiff. The dates are on the screen. So when you apply, we'll be asking you to confirm that you can attend on those dates and times. It's really important that we get that in-person time. So we're giving you those dates now, so hopefully you can put those in the diary and fit things around them. And then to complement the face-to-face sessions, we've then got online sessions. So what we're doing with the online sessions is these are going to be members of each individual company working with me or members of my team on specific issues or challenges. We call them power hours. And what we mean by that is you'll do a masterclass with the group, and maybe that will flag up some issues or pain points for you. And then what we'll then do is book in a power hour as a team for your company and work through the specific things that you need help on. And the idea of that is that often when you're trying to implement EDI work, you'll come across a few roadblocks, and they'll be different for each company. So we've put in those power hours so that we can work through the blocks as they come and help you unpick things that maybe are particular challenges for your company. And the hope is that we can bring some of those challenges back to the group as well, so we can all have that collective learning from different experiences that we've had. I'll just share a bit more information about what's going to be in the workshop content. So this is the 4 masterclasses that we're doing. So we've divided them up into creating your overall mission and vision. So you're going to get real kind of in-depth understanding about what EDI is, and in practice how to deliver it, how to measure impact, and how to really create the value that you want for your company. In that session, we'll be talking about the sometimes quite hairy, scary conversations that you need to have with commissioners and channels to help you achieve this. Not many people know that most channels do have ring-fenced budgets that they will commit to, but spending on maybe supporting, say, a disabled AP who needs to step up and needs more training, there's pots there, and we're going to help you work out the conversations and the strategy that you need to access specific funding to do the work you want to do. Our second workshop is more about the data. So EDI can feel like a very blunt instrument. You can do lots of engagement, lots of outreach, and you can often not understand whether it's having any impact or not. We're just going to go back a slide if that's all right, Reggie. Sorry. Great. So the data work we're going to do is looking at current industry data. We're going to really understand what underrepresentation means, both in the UK at large and in Wales. We're going to look at how to interpret Diamond data from the UK census and how to apply that to what the Welsh creative workforce looks like. We're also going to learn about GDPR compliant ways to work with protected characteristics data. Our third workshop is going to be about recruiting and retaining talent. So That's about how you do the positive action work to specifically connect and bring in people from underrepresented groups, and then how to do the sometimes harder work, which is the nurturing and progression work for people who do face barriers. And then our fourth workshop will be about coming out the other end with your own strategy. So having done the power hours and the group sessions, we will create a bespoke strategy that really works for your company and your needs. Every production is going to be different. So it's acknowledging the fact that you need a bespoke strategy with some achievable goals in it, which you can then take back and start to implement. So overall, what are you going to gain? So hopefully all of that will have given you what we're going to call top flight EDI training. You'll get that one-to-one support in the power hours. We're going to be working with Channel 4 and some other channels as well to get some commissioner input into how they will support you to achieve your EDI work. The wider aim, I think, for me, is that when you get your off-screen talent working really well, when you have a very diverse team and it's very inclusive, it means that your content is enriched. You'll be sharing more diverse stories. You'll be understanding how to tell different stories better. You'll get better ideas. So it's about how the off-screen work really positively impacts the on-screen. And as I mentioned, you're going to be able to be part of a cohort, which we hope will go forward and really support each other and have that, I guess, group intent on creating this really strong and diverse talent base in Wales. So there's some really good practical things we'll do with you. So I'll just go to the next slide. So one of the things we're going to do with you is what we call a state of play review. So we will spend some time with you working out what you already do well and what you need to improve. And we're going to give you, it looks a bit scary, but please don't worry about it. We're going to give you an initial score based on the accessibility of your company, good governance in terms of hiring practices, talent support, and your recruitment and retention work. So this score is nothing to be afraid of. Britty's score is not perfect. Last time I did this on our own company, we scored about 60-something%. So we still have work to do. So I think that's the point. It's not about acing the score. It's about understanding which areas you want to work on most and why. So on the screen, you'll see that there is an example here. So this is an actual company we've worked with in the last few months. We completed this in October. And this company supplies the PSVs, BBC, Channel 4, ITV and Sky. And this company was a very interesting company because their leadership, their owners are LGBTQ+. So they've already done a lot of work in inclusion in that area. But what we worked out from doing this state of play was that actually disability was the area where they hadn't got that level of understanding and knowledge to create the level of inclusion that they have already created for gender and LGBTQ+. So it was really interesting because actually they'd already done so much work in one area that we were able to translate a lot of that work into the different areas of underrepresentation. So you'll come out of this state of play with some really key points about what you're doing well and what you can now work on. We'll also do a deeper dive with you in terms of the data across your whole team. So if you can share the next slide, Reggie. So what we'll be doing is collecting both quantitative and qualitative data on your current team. Again, it's nothing to be afraid of. We do it in a very GDPR compliant and lightest of touch way. We've spent a lot of time looking at wording and language in order to encourage people to fill in data and give full and honest responses. We're collecting it in an anonymous way, so we won't tell you who said what, but we will give you a snapshot of your team. The reason that's important is because when you have the snapshot, you can work out where your weak points are. So this is an example of a team survey we did earlier this year, which shows the makeup of the team in terms of disability. So this team was actually doing pretty well because there was 30% inclusion of people with either disability or long-term health conditions or neurodiversity. We were able to do a deeper dive to look at what types of impairment, disability or learning difference that were within that team. And by doing that, we could then help the company work out what reasonable adjustments and access needs they really needed to work on should be a given to really support their current team. So this work helps you really pinpoint the practical steps you need to take day to day. And it helps reveal things that you didn't know, like this company had a really high level of people, you know, with certain conditions that had never been talked about. So there were adaptations that these people needed that maybe weren't in place because this information hadn't been available before. So it's about helping your team understand that helping them share this is not going to be something that disadvantages them in terms of their job and how people view them. It's actually something to help you put in place the access requirements, which means that they can get on and do their best work. So that's an example of the type of data we're going to be working on to help you create your really fit for purpose EDI plan. And then at the end of it, we'll also give you a toolkit of various resources so that you can continue to build on that after you've left the cohort. Okay, so that's most of the information that I wanted to share. So we've now got lots of time for questions if there are any. I don't know if we have any.
Not right yet, but it'd be great if people have got any sort of specific that they wish to ask. I mean, for me, what really sort of jumps out and that I find really exciting is that idea of, you know, companies being able to share best practice and obviously learn from, you know, all the expertise that comes with Gritty, and more importantly, that idea of diversing the narratives, you know, diversifying the stories we wish to tell. You know, this isn't just about talent. This is about, you know, building bigger, better kind of stories that are much more kind of representative. So I think that's, you know, obviously very exciting. It's probably worth noting while we're waiting to see if anyone's got any specific questions, give people a little bit of an idea about sort of deadlines. I think we agreed, I should have this to hand, shouldn't I? Friday the 19th of January is the deadline for applications. Yeah.
Sorry, I meant to say that. Yeah, the deadline for applications is the 19th of Jan. And we've left a long window because of Christmas and New Year. But once we get those applications in, we'll move quite quickly. So we'll be starting in February, but so you should know within a few weeks of your application going in if you've been successful. So yeah, 19th of Jan is the deadline. And we'll also make this video available on the website, so that if people have missed it or want to watch it again, you've got that information there to help you with the application. The application itself, it's not too lengthy, but we do ask you questions about your specific EDI challenges and needs, and what you're going to get from the programme. So we're really looking for companies who are committed to doing the work and have thought about what they'd like to change or improve, and have got an idea of where they want to be the other side of the programme. Mm-hmm. So you might come to this with a specific challenge around a particular talent issue or inclusion issue that you've been working on. You might come to this new, having not done much inclusion work. So it's okay. It doesn't matter what stage you're at. You could be a company with a very well-formed EDI plan and lots of initiatives. You could be a company that would love to do the work but doesn't know how to start. Quite often that can be the barrier. It can feel overwhelming. Where do I start? So if you're at the kind of the beginner's end of it, then actually this will help you get your plan out the door. If you've already been doing lots of work, this will help you refine what you've been doing and work out what you've been doing well and what you need to change. So I'm having a look at the Q&A. I can't see any. I don't know whether that's because we don't have any or whether there's an issue with typing in.
People can raise hands. Can we raise hands if that is the case? Well, is it worth also mentioning about the Welsh language? Oh, here we go. Okay, Kerry. Thank you, Kerry from Bomper. Lovely to have you on board. Is there any written assignments coursework required?
Good question. So yes, there is. It's not so much written, but to do the state of play review, we will send you a link to an electronic survey, which takes about 15 minutes to fill out, and you'll need to sit down, fill it out, and there's bits of information, things like your existing HR policies, your existing EDI policy. There's bits of information that you might need to research in order to answer the questions and have to hand. So yes, there is homework. We will also be asking you to draft your own EDI plan. That's something that we'll do partly during the workshops, but partly on your own time as well. So you'll start it off in the group and then spend some time on it. But I think, as I said earlier, because we know how busy everyone is, we're really mindful that to keep the homework fairly light so that it is achievable, and so that actually the most benefit we want you to get is the contact time with the group and during the power hours, working through your individual challenges that you might want to work on.
And I think it's worth talking also briefly, Mel, about sort of Welsh language, that's going to be embedded into this, which I think's, very, very exciting.
Yes, so we'll be sharing all the main materials in both languages, and I'm not a Welsh speaker, despite my gran living in Pennyland for 40 years, I have to say, quite ashamedly. But we're working with Welsh language speakers to make sure that materials are available in English and Welsh. Maybe by the end I'll have learnt a bit more Welsh, I hope so. My gran would be impressed if I do.
So Molly is asking, if you're in the same company, would this all be done as a group?
Yes. So Molly, so say if you and 2 other members of your company attended, you'd all attend the workshops, and the power hours. Ideally, all 3 of you would come to those as well. It might be there's a specific issue you identify which maybe is more lended to one particular person doing that power hour session, but the idea is that as a group from your company, that you're working together on putting your EDI plan together, and you're learning together, so that when you go back into everyday work, you've got that kind of critical mass of insight together, that so you can push it forward. And it's to try and help you explain and bring people on board if they don't have the same level of understanding. So as a group, the idea is that you'll be able to deliver it in a stronger way because you've attended things together.
Great. And I think it's worth noting as well, I mean, don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that in Wales, 1 in 4 people identify as deaf, disabled or neurodivergent, and we're not coming close to that representation on and off screen within our sector. So, and I've been fortunate enough as well to see full examples of the state of play reviews and audits that Gritty have done up in Scotland. And I have to say, it's it's an incredibly useful resource, and sort of complete with action plans, sort of continual monitoring. So from where I'm sitting, it's a fantastically important and inclusive piece of work.
Thanks, Sal. It's worth. So the last census revealed that yes, it's around 1 in 4 of the Welsh population is disabled, deaf, neurodivergent, or has a long-term health condition. When you look at the workforce data, the TV workforce as a whole, this isn't just Wales, is hovering between 5 and 6% disability inclusion. And then when you then cross-cut it in roles, there's next to no representation in many of the senior roles. There's some roles where there's no representation at all. So there's the work that we want to do with you is around not just entry level. It's about removing those blockers to progression. That means someone feels unable to progress into a producer role, a director role, an SP role, a head of production role. What are the blockers that you can remove, and what are the things you can actively do so that your company is more representative of the Welsh population? And I think that's regardless of whether you're supplying, you know, content to BBC Wales or S4C. I think it's about your workforce engaging with the best talent in your region. And if you look at the population as a whole, then, you know, the other area, so disability is one area that we'll look at very closely. The other is socioeconomic inclusion. So again, there's parts of Wales where we see big groups who are from less affluent backgrounds. When you tend to look at the TV data, it skews to being a highly educated workforce who've had access to university. It tends to be a lot of people in senior roles who are actually not from, say, Wales or Bristol, where I am, who've come in from maybe London to lead teams. And that, I don't have a problem with that, but what I think we need to work on is how people who live in this cluster can progress into those roles, because it hasn't happened in the past. So it's about socioeconomic is quite a difficult nut to crack because there's so many factors. But again, we'll be looking at what are some of the easiest blocks that you can start to remove, and what are the things that you can put in place, which mean more talent from those groups can come in. And that's not just entry level, actually, that's looking across roles. We do a lot of work with transferable skills, so people who have skills in other sectors, tourism, live events, accountancy, marketing, those types of professions who will translate into TV roles because they have knowledge of money, dealing with people, pressured situations, processes. So people can come in, you know, particularly from underrepresented socioeconomic groups. They can't start at entry level. You need to come in at a salary that values your time and your skill. So we'll look at that as well. So have we got any more questions? I don't think we have.
Not to my knowledge. I think you've done such a thorough job of you know, talking through the programme. I can't see anything myself.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, if you think of anything afterwards, please do email the Media Cymru team, and we can try and get back to you individually. I think the email's on the website, isn't it, Sal? Just to check.
It is indeed, and Rich has just put the link to apply on this Q&A feed as well. So if you're feeling suitably inspired, click on it, go on, get it done this side of Christmas, so you can relax and kick back. And we really hope that you know, this has been a useful session, and you know, huge thanks to everyone, you know, both obviously the Gritty Talent team, but also everyone here in the room for taking the trouble and the time to find out more. I mean, from where I'm sitting, it's a no-brainer, and it's free. What's not to like? So yeah, it'd be great if we can get some, you know, to see some of the faces here today, you know, joining us next year.
Thanks very much for coming. I appreciate it's a busy time of year and it's your lunch